We move on to the next time we had a big packing job, which was packing to move to Kenya.
I think there's a theme here. I think packing is just
packing and or moving
is really tough on relationships.
I think it often is very tough on relationships.
Especially when someone, and that's me, is doing more of the packing.
Yeah, it's definitely hard when one person, definitely me, has more of the responsibility and does more of the work. It just makes it, there's such a terrible imbalance, it just makes it impossible for there to be a smoothness in the relationship around that. That's true.
Anyway,
yeah, when way too much.
When we were living in California, you threw your back and you were not doing much. I was doing most of the packing. Let's just be honest here.
You mean be honest by agreeing with what you say? Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that once again that today doesn't become the day that is the most recent day that we almost ruined our relationship.
But no, like you did throw your back, right?
I did throw my back out. That's true.
Yeah, so me and your kids were doing most of the packing. Okay. And it was me and Maya, like on the last days, like Jade had already moved out. Maya and I did most of the packing, and I was just so tired. It was cold. Like just saying goodbye to our friends and family. It was tough. It
was tough. And then there's always like those little decisions that are actually big, because each a little decision in daily life, whether you go to the store right now or in an hour or whatever, doesn't really make any difference. But when time is really tight, and it's like you said, there were saying goodbye to people, there was packing, there was what do we keep, what do we get rid of, because we got rid of almost everything we own. You also had in our, for your Amazon business, you had boxes and boxes that took up just about our entire dining room and half of our living room. So there was also that. There was a lot of that too.
Yeah, so I was packing like my life and packing my business up, It was an intense.
That was pretty intense. And then that last night, I slept like 3 hours, I think.
Why?
Because I know you claim that you did most of the packing, but that night there was still so much to do that I ended up staying up. I'm done. And somebody had to do the work, so I stayed up. And then in the morning, we actually did okay though. We actually got out.
In the morning, yeah, we did really well.
And we got to the airport only 1 hour later than we had planned. We wanted to be there, we were aiming to be there 2.5 hours before the flight left, and we got there 1 hour and about 45 minutes, or an hour and a half, it was actually pretty tight. It was an hour and a half, because I remember they shipped your thing. They put your thing on, you're like, you know what, bring it back because there was a problem. And they're like, if we do, you're going to miss your flight. So we actually got there just in time.
I remember how intense it was. Now we have to pack up again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, when COVID-19 allows us to pack up here and go somewhere else.
And I think we actually should start packing slowly, just because I don't want that to happen again.
Really? Mm-hmm. You don't want to do it all in 3 days and be really tense and stressed out with each other?
Right now, we don't have a lot of stuff.
No,
so
we don't. That's the good news.
Yeah, we can pack. I think we can pack up this house in half a day.
Yeah.
3 hours.
No way. Okay. So this was a fun one.
What else is in?
There was a week where you were really mad at me.
There was?
I don't know if I'm conflating two different times, but there was one time when you came home and you were not in a very good mood, and Mary and Jade were doing homework at the table, and they were like, hey, how are you, Cera? And you're like, I'm fine, but your father's being an asshole.
Oh my God.
That definitely could have hurt our relationship if it wasn't for the fact that it was so funny.
Were you right there?
I was right there. Your father's being an asshole. So there was that.
I had this habit, I think in our first year of dating, of living together, that I would just be mad at you and not talk to you for an entire week.
Yeah. You didn't do a whole week very often, but you definitely go a couple of days where it was just full on silent treatment, and even if I cooked, you would not eat the food that I made.
Oh my God, I was
you're like
so
one of those
petty.
like 7-year-olds that were just like, I'm not eating. You cooked it.
What would I do? Go buy food? I don't remember. Or just cook my own food.
Well, there was once I remember you were like, you hadn't eaten, and I brought you food. Oh, I asked if you wanted some food, and you said no. But I knew you were hungry. You had to be hungry. So I brought food, and you're like, I don't want it. And I left it in the bedroom, and I walked out. And like 2 hours later, that big pile of food had been devoured.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't know if it was during that week, but that week you did not talk to me. And at night, you refused to do anything. You rolled over, and you looked the other way. You didn't say anything, nothing. And each night...
You must have done something really terrible.
Definitely, for sure. There's only one good reason why anybody would not talk to somebody else, because that other person did something really terrible. In order to totally justify any other like reciprocal bad behavior.
It's funny because I don't even remember what you had done.
I probably didn't. I mean, it's not that I didn't do anything. Like, obviously I did something that hurt your feelings. But it doesn't actually mean that either it was that bad in retrospect, because you don't remember, or that it was justified, but none of it matters. It's how you felt. And your feeling would have been justified. I don't know if your reaction was necessarily justified, but if your feelings were hurt, that's fine. But we couldn't really talk about it because there was no conversation happening. But every night before bed, and this was how this one ended. Because it was like, can this go on forever? So 6 nights, and I counted because I wrote in my journal.
6 nights.
6 nights, every night, I got into bed, and you went the other way, and I just like came and I held you from behind, and I said, I love you so much, and I give you a kiss on the small of your neck, and then
you sound like Buddha right now.
I was a little bit, I was actually being pretty good for 6 days. And on the 7th day, I couldn't handle it anymore. And I got into bed, and I said, you know what? Screw it. If this is the way she's going to be, I'm not dealing with it. And I got into bed, and I made sure to turn over with a big huff and pull the blankets onto me. And the next day you said, we have to talk. And I said, listen, you haven't talked to me for 6 days. And you said, last night, you didn't talk to me either. You didn't say I love you. You didn't give me a hug. And thus came the end of our standoff. So that was, but by the end of that, I had to wonder, like, are we gonna make this? Are we gonna make it? Is this the end of our relationship?
Yeah, I think me too. I was wondering.
You were wondering? Mm-hmm. You're like, how long can he keep saying I love you and hugging me from behind and giving me a little kiss goodnight and saying goodnight all sweetly? How long can he do this while I don't talk to him? Was that your